the first step of what to do if you're being sexually exploited via Facebook with sexually explicit images. You need to deactivate your Facebook and you need to hang up the phone call with the person who is talking to you and block him. That's going to be a scary process, and sometimes it might take a little bit to make that all happen. I know in my case, when that happened, I couldn't immediately deactivate the account because I had some things attached to it that prevented me from actually deactivating it. But if you can, right off the bat, what you need to do, if this is happening currently, deactivate your Facebook. It doesn't need to be deleted. You can just deactivate it. But that's step one. Step two is hang up the phone. Now I'll go into some more detail with that. So the only reason that he has power is because he has contact with you. He wants money. The people that are doing this, they just want money. They're not, well, okay, they're malicious, but they're not going to send the pictures to anybody if they think that they can get money out of you. Sending money will not stop the blackmail. If you send money, they will ask you for money again, and the cycle will continue. You will not, it won't end until you're able to just cut the ties. Which is why I recommend just, the consequences are going to happen regardless. The best thing you can do to prevent or mitigate those consequences is to deactivate your Facebook and hang up and block the caller. Just make sure they can, block any means of communication they have to get in contact with you. And, that's the best you can do. All right, now that we have that out of the way, hopefully I've given you some information to work with that you can use more immediately if that's something that you need right now. But yeah, let me go into a little bit more about what happened to me and what my strategy was to get out of this mess. Basically, I was on a website to talk to some people, to send, fun messages back and forth, completely consensual, completely legal, above water. We moved to WhatsApp, which was my bad, my mistake. So it was because I gave them my WhatsApp. They figured out my name. They were able to search my name on Facebook, and they found my friends list, and then they were able to threaten to send some sensitive images that I had sent over to friends and family. Your first your first response here is going to be fear. They're going to send a lot of images, give you like a countdown, say they're going to start sending them immediately. My first response was to pick up the phone. He called and said, "Hey, like this is your situation." He wanted me to send him like $1,000 or something. And so immediately in my mind, I started thinking, okay, what can I do about this situation? What options are at my disposal? And fortunately, I kind of thought on my feet a little bit, and I figured, okay, I did like the mental math in my head, and I was like, wait a minute, okay, theoretically, if friends and family were to see these images, what's the worst that can happen? They, they're a little bit embarrassed for me, but honestly, like, it's a little awkward, but you're a victim. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. What you're doing is what you thought to be consensual and above water. You were with a partner that you assumed was just having fun with you. And obviously you were wrong. Um, Worst case scenario, you make a post and say, look, this is the situation. Sorry for any awkwardness. That said, most messages that are received from like random people on Facebook who are not your friend, it's going to go to like the spam folder or the like this not directly into their inbox. So even if something is sent, there's a good chance they won't see it. That said, if they do see it, then you know it's not a big deal. Frankly, it's not worth $1,000 to avoid that situation. At least for me, it was not. So, um, I decided I was going to try to figure out the best way forward with this. The best way forward for me, I decided, was to um, try to stall as much as possible. So after I deactivated my Facebook, my thought process was, all right, the longer I draw this out for the scammer or for the guy that's doing this, the more likely it is that he's going to lose my friend list. Because if he navigates away from that page, theoretically, hopefully, maybe, Facebook will refresh and show that my profile is gone, and he won't have access to that list anymore. So this was happening to me pretty late at night, and so it was about like, well, it was like 11 or 12. I think it was like 11 p.m. when it started. Anyway, he sent me to like wellsfargo.com, and I put in. He told me to put in my information for like my bank account or my debit card or something, and then to send the money that way to like who knows where, like somewhere in Malaysia or something. Um, so here's my strategy though to delay and to stall the situation was I I put in my information for my credit card, but I didn't put in the correct uh, security code. Of course, he doesn't know that, and so when I click send, by the way, make sure you don't put in your accurate information. Once it sends, it's not you can't get it back. Like you can't call your bank and say I was sexually exploited. Please give me my money back. That doesn't work. Um, so I made sure to make sure that all of my information was not accurate. I hit send and it didn't work. And so I showed him the screen. I was like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. Like it's not working. And so he sent me to another website, and I did that. And then um, I basically did that process again on like 4 different sites that he sent me to. None of which were working, mysteriously. And so then I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna call my bank and find out what's happened. So I hung up and he's like, fine, yeah, do that. And so I called my bank. That's when I asked my bank, like, hey, like if I were to send money, would I be able to get it back? And they said no. I was like, all right, making sure I'm not gonna do that then. So we hung up with the bank. I got back in contact with the scammer guy, and said like, yeah, like I just don't know what's happening. And so he's like, all right. He wanted me to use an ATM machine to do like a direct transfer to his bank account somewhere. Um, Now I could have technically like gone to 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven ATM machines are always open, but I was able to convince him that I live like out in the middle of nowhere and that there's just no ATMs at my disposal. And so I told him, hey, look, man, I can go to one in the morning, but nothing's open right now, so I'm gonna have to like call you back, and we'll do it first thing in the morning. So we, yeah, so I basically convinced him that I was gonna work with him later, and he's fine. And again, you have to remember, like they they want money, they want your $1,000, plus however much they can get after, right? So if there's just no other options, he's going to work with you. And so you just have to be like, look, man, this is the only option. I can only go later, or that's what I said at least. It's like, I can only go later. There's nothing else I can do for you. So he's like, all right, that's fine. First thing tomorrow. So he wanted to call me. He wanted to call me to wake me up at 8 a.m. or something. I was like, look, man, nothing's going to be open. I'll call you back at 10. And so he's like, okay, fine. So the next morning, obviously, I wasn't going to actually send any money to him. So the next morning, I wake up, and then by that time, I had hoped that enough time had passed. It had been 8 hours or so since I'd talked to him, and I blocked him. By that time, my Facebook was deactivated. I changed. Oh yeah, I changed a lot of my names online. I removed my last name from my Google account. I just straight up deleted my LinkedIn page because fuck LinkedIn, right? I don't even know why I have that. Made sure to just kind of basically just go through my online identity and make it more anonymous. Because the fact is, he does have your name, probably, your first and last name. And if it's an uncommon name, it'll be more easy to find you. So at least for now, for the next I don't know, little while, I've decided for me, I'm just going to keep my online presence pretty low key. It's been about a month or so since this happened to me, and so my Facebook has been deactivated since then. But it's no big deal. And so far, nobody has texted me and said, "What the heck?" My family is totally unaware of the whole situation, as far as I know. And yeah, everything is fine basically. I think it's not a big deal. Frankly, this is something that's shamed, I think, more than it should be, because at this point, sexting is kind of a part of life to one degree or another. At least in the United States, I'm assuming that probably over half of people have sent, a sensitive message to somebody before, at least in the ages 30 and below range. And so it's something that's going to have to be just accepted. It's a part of life now. And I don't know, that's just my opinion. Hopefully this has helped. Let me know if you have any questions, if there's anything that I can do to clarify or help you out with. I'll do my best to answer questions in the comments. Thanks. Good luck.